So now, again, this was weekends, and I also went on as tourists. And Sergeant Junko and I, who's my good friend in Korea, and he and I did so many nice things together, he was a photographer. So he and I would go out and tour Japan. One of the places we went to was the island of Kamakura. Now, Kamakura was was the winter palace of one of the emperors, former emperors of Japan. And this whole small island was just the winter palace. And there were cherry trees everywhere. And we went there and it was just starting to blossom. And so I was doing a lot of photography, Junko, we went just everywhere. We had a group of other guys with us. And as we worked around, we said, okay, you guys, I want to look at some other things. So I said, okay, why don't we meet by the big Buddha? Now, one of the focal points of Kamakura was a giant, or they call it the Great, bronze Buddha of Kamakura. And it's made up of plates. They're about 18 inches by 24 inches with patterns on them and shape. They were all linked together, overlapping. And the bronze Buddha of Kamakura was repaired, to give you a time frame of it, was repaired by from an earthquake in 1492. It was that old a statue. And it was just incredibly beautiful. Now, to the right of the great Buddha is the tree of life. To the left of the great Buddha is the ginkgo tree. I can't remember the significance of the ginkgo tree. At any rate, I told the guys, why don't we meet back at the ginkgo tree in about an hour? And you guys can go do what you want to, and I want to go over and look at some things. So I went over and looked at some things, and I came back, had a half hour to go, and I sat down at the base of the ginkgo tree. And that's when I had probably the most remarkable experience of my entire life. I disappeared. I was transported. And I reappeared with a group of men or people in front of a white light, a soft but very pervasive white light. And I was in a monk's robe of coarsely woven cloth over my clothes. The hood was very large so that my face didn't show, and I had to kind of strain myself to peek on either side to see if there were other people there, and there were other people there. And the white light would ask us questions, and we would answer questions. And then we would ask questions, and our questions would be answered. Now, everyone seemed to ask the questions that I wanted to ask. So when it came to me, I just asked, how am I doing? And I was told that I'm doing just fine. That I should continue doing what I'm doing. That my focus of teaching people to be complete was the thing that I realized, because that's what I'd been doing. Now, some of the other questions were, why me? One of the other people asked. And the white light said, it's not just you. You all humans are gods in training. Well, why are we on earth then? Because you're learning how to be human. That's the important thing you need to learn. You need to learn compassion. You need to know pain. You need to know love. You need to know greed. You need to know all those things that make a human being human. If you don't know these things, how can you be a good God? If you're aloof from the people that you're aiding and teaching, and if you don't love them, then you aren't going to be a good God. Now, I reappeared underneath the ginkgo tree, and my friends were there with their backs towards me. And they were complaining, where is that Armstrong? Now, he told us he was going to be here, and it's over a half an hour, and he's not here yet. Where could he be? And they were complaining. And then so I got up, said, hey, guys. And they said, where have you been? And I said, well, I got sidetracked, I'll tell you what, I'll buy you all dinner. And so that, they kept okay. That was all right for them. Now, as time went by, you know how you are, or I am, you kind of put things, was that real? Was that a figment? Did it really happen? Did I really talk to a white light? Or was it the white light? And I mulled over this on and off. And then I met a man, Stuart. And he's my publisher of the jewelry books that I have written. And so he and I were talking, and I said, Stu, I said, have you ever been to Japan? This is when we first met. And he said, yes, I was in Japan in '69. And I said, Stu, did you go and see the great Buddha in Kamakura? And he blanched. And he said, yes, he had. And he and a friend were on the other side of the Buddha in an octagonal square of stone in front of the Tree of Life. And he was transported as well. We were both astonished because this gave truth to our experience. Since I was raised as a psychic child, later on I determined I was raised in the Taoist tradition of Buddhism. If you go back to my first video, I talk about my guardians, astral beings coming and teaching me to touch a muscle and move the muscle without moving my leg. Touch a muscle here and move that muscle without moving your leg. This is part of the basic curriculum that they teach. To teach focus, to teach body control, to do all these kinds of things. Now, I have met two other people that I recognized, that I had the same feeling that I had with Stu, but I was never given the opportunity to take them aside and talk with them, and this isn't something you do in a crowded room.